Alright, it's Monday. You know what that means. It's time for a bit of a Market Monday update. For those of you who don't know, I've started to try and learn a little bit about the stock market, and I'm a total noob. So, we're sort of learning a little bit about it together, and today is going to be in 3 parts. 1, Tesla, 2, Elon Musk, and 3, what I'm watching. The reason for the first 2 is because the only shares I have, which I got for my birthday, are a couple of Tesla shares. And I like the company, but you know, it's not the safest or most reasonable stock pick, but it's something that keeps me interested in learning about the stock market, so I think it's a really good start. Alright, so for context, this is the Tesla share price over the last year and a bit, and if I zoom in here, that is where I got a couple where those green lines intersect. So there was a big dip here after that crash that sort of happened with autopilot, and there were some press issues and Trump tariff drama and all that stuff, which made me think that I thought it would be a good time to buy into Tesla. Which brings us to the more recent times. It's been pretty volatile, and I did mention the last little update that while it was coming back up, it was going to go up and down quite a lot, and boy did it do that, because in a call with shareholders, Elon Musk basically cut off a bunch of analysts and reporters and just passed over questioning to this guy, this YouTuber. Now I find that funny, of course, you know, given that I am a YouTuber, and I guess Elon Musk gives us a little bit of cred, but he basically said that the questions from the analysts and all the Wall Street people were dry and boring, and he moved on to someone else who was asking to him more interesting questions. Not the greatest when it comes to analysts and people who go back and buy shares for their various companies and all this stuff. The stock dropped very quickly, but also climbed back up immediately after, and it's almost right back where it was right before those calls. And I find this really interesting because I believe some of the shorter term investors have ducked out, and I also believe the longer term investors took that as an opportunity to scoop up more shares. So I just find that really interesting. So here's what that looks like on the stock chart. This is basically during that conference call where the stock dropped, and it's been pretty volatile, but it has been moving back in an upwards direction. And I believe that pressure's sort of building a bit, and it's gonna explode or grow past that buy-in point moving forward. Now, I believe this because, again, I think long-term investors are going to keep scooping up more shares while it's in this place. I don't think it's going to keep going down. I think it's going to gradually or even quickly move up. I think if it were any other CEO who did this, the ramifications would be as bad as the media is trying to make it out to be. And I don't think it's ideal in some senses, but I also think it's Elon Musk. This guy he's not an aspirational CEO. He didn't become what he's become because he wants to be a businessman. He makes things that work. He's made reusable rockets, and he's bought this huge push for electric vehicles and renewable energy in a way that no one has done before. So were it anyone else, not a good move. Elon Musk, not a great move anyway, but because of that factor, I think he's got a bit of a safeguard against it being a permanent problem. Because people who invest in Tesla aren't really investing in a specific product per se, and when things go wrong or he says stupid stuff, you know, the long-term investors like myself aren't really fazed by that. They're more interested in the fact that this is someone who's going to carry an industry to a destination and believe in that. Which brings me to my second point. Elon Musk is a bit of a crazy person. He's been going a little mental on Twitter. There's been a bit of a really interesting back and forth that I wanted to discuss with you guys, with him sort of joking about and also not quite joking about Warren Buffett and moats. So for a little bit of context, those of you who don't know, Warren Buffett is a hugely famous investor, one of the most successful investors of all time, with billions and billions of dollars to his name, and has made huge companies successful through his involvement. And there's this famous mentality that he's sort of pioneered, which is the idea of backing companies that have great moats. Now, in the previously mentioned investor call, the idea of moats came up, and Elon replied essentially by saying moats are overrated. they're not as important as the pace of innovation. So I'm going to give you a bit of a visual example as to why I agree with that. The type of moat being referred to in question is the M-O-A-T type of moat. The moat is that thing that they put the bridge down or not for, to let people in or out of their castle. So obviously this is a, very bad visual representation, but the point is when attacking armies go, hang on, this is my attacking army. When they go to attack the castle, which is in this case the company, and this is the competitor, the moat represents a competitive advantage. Basically meaning when that bridge goes up and competitors are after what the company has, their money, their audience, their whatever, the bigger the moat, the bigger and wider and deeper the competitive advantage that the company has, the greater a defense they have against their competitors. Warren Buffett believes that the bigger the moat, the better. And, in a general sense, that is conventionally absolutely true. However, Elon Musk's point is, if you are a competitor and you out-innovate the company, it doesn't matter how big or wide or deep this competitive advantage moat is, when a competitor can fly in and attack with jetpacks that they've developed because they've out-innovated their company or the competition that they're trying to get an advantage over. This is innovation. A case in point for the Elon Musk view of this way of competing would be looking at a company like Walmart versus a company like Amazon. Pretty much everyone would agree that the competitive advantage that Walmart has had over pretty much every retailer ever has been huge. This moat has been massive. However, Amazon has far and away out-innovated every single retailer in the industry, and as a result, has crossed that moat and claimed the advantage itself. Now, if you feel like being entertained, go check out Elon Musk's Twitter and just read back a bit, because he said some interesting stuff. But this thing in particular, I find very interesting and think he has a very good point in saying that you like moats is just a nice way of saying you like oligopolies. What is an oligopoly? It's a mix of an oligarchy and a monopoly. Also fun to point out that only a couple of days ago, Warren Buffett says he was wrong about Google and Amazon, specifically that he made the wrong decision when he was offered to invest in a very low price point for these companies. He had a high opinion of Jeff Bezos when he first met him, but underestimated him. I've watched Amazon from the start. I think Jeff Bezos has done something close to a miracle. Is that so, Warren Buffett? Almost as if he has jetpacks or something. Now, all that being said, it's not like Elon Musk doesn't have his own moats. Tesla is the brand that, as a car company, has pushed forward the idea of electric cars to the mainstream and being a desirable thing. No other car company, no matter when they come in and start making popular electric cars, whenever that may be, can claim that ground. Or at least make it be forgotten or irrelevant for at least some time. So there is a big competitive advantage just in the brand solidity that Elon Musk has built through Tesla that, you can't discount. But that being said, the pace of innovation is something that I absolutely think that I really admire that they do. So as up and down as the stocks may go, I am taking the long-term hope and bet with Tesla. But like I said, it's a small bet because we're just dabbling. which takes me to point 3 of today's Market Monday update, and that is stuff I'm looking at because I'm trying to learn. Because I'm an idiot. So I have a couple of documents I've set up on my computer just to sort of start dipping my toes in the water. There's obviously a lot to get through, but I've started listing companies that I want to learn about and just explore and dissect and break down a bit. And in no way am I saying I'm going to invest in all these, but basically my thought is if I can learn to break down the values, the income statements, all that stuff, based on all these different stocks and different sectors, I'm hoping to learn different stuff, and maybe in a year or two I might pick a couple of these that I've been watching over time and try and build a little bit of a nest egg. But I'm finding this really interesting, and I'm also finding it really interesting to sort of build mechanisms to observe this stuff through. So I've actually built a SWOT and PEST score summary document, so I can go through here and rate each of these out of 10. The strengths and opportunities being positive and weaknesses, the higher up towards 10, the worse. So basically it evens out to between -100 and 100 in both the SWOT and PEST, and then it gets a score of from F to A+. So I haven't filled these out for any yet, but I spent a while building these so I can use this as a base for a bunch of different companies, and like I said, these are the companies I want to start looking at, and this is just going to be a simple way for me to just sort of get an idea as to how I might rate them and if I would want to dig further. And speaking of digging further, I've printed a bunch of different financial reports and guides to reading financial reports. So here's the latest Tesla 8K report. Here is the Tesla 10K financial report. That's going to take a while to get through. And I've printed up the 10K for Nvidia, which is the first company other than Tesla that I'm going to start looking into. They're coming out with their next batch of financials in the next week. So next Monday, or if we come back to this again, it'll be interesting to see how things react. I've made some projections, and I'll show you that in a moment, but I haven't actually fully examined the company. But I think there's a lot of potential value there in the long term because of things like self-driving cars and the visual reading and graphics processing that all of these things use technology like Nvidia is developing, as well as things like virtual reality. It's a way that I can invest in virtual reality because I believe in it so much because of the development and necessity for graphics processing and foveated rendering and all that stuff. And then of course it's a stable company that's been around for a long time and it has a good foothold and is a foundation of its industry in its own way and has good relationships with other very established brands. So gonna learn about that. I'm talking a lot. I apologize for that, but I'll quickly show you my little anticipated projection for Nvidia. I believe it's gonna start off by going down and then it's gonna bounce back up and keep going up. It's actually had a pretty good period of growth recently, and I feel like that's going to continue, especially because I believe, you know, with things like Bitcoin and cryptocurrency mining being such a thing, I believe the demand for graphics cards, their sales are going to have been pretty good. So my suspicion is that this is going to go up. But it'll be interesting to see how close we are to the projections. So there you go. This has been the Market Monday report. I apologize to any of you who aren't interested in this sort of thing. If I've bored you, let me know in the comments if you want me to keep doing this every now and then, if you want me to keep it super bite-sized, or if you like how I did this. Because, I mean, I find interesting ways to see it myself and enjoy learning about it. I'm hoping you guys feel the same, but if not, just let me know, because, yeah, this vlog is about sort of me being me and showing you the stuff I'm interested in, but at the same time, it can be something I'm quietly and privately interested in, maybe mention once in a blue moon, if it's a little too off topic for you guys. Also, hope you like my costume, because I don't actually need these, but anyways, let's get back to work. All right. I must confess, it's the end of the day and I don't have much to show for it. To be honest, I'm quite fatigued after last week, so I've taken it really easy today and set up some edit stuff that I'll be finishing off for the Friday video, and also did a thumbnail for tomorrow's video. So it's been sort of a bunch of different stuff, catching up on a few things and emails and other stuff as well. But that being said, it is time for the question of the day, which I'll take from Lake Pamenter. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Have you ever thought about designing and making props? I know that personally I enjoy the entire creation process of making foam props for movies, games, etc. It would be interesting to see how you approach the creative process of it. Obviously, I have no experience with it. The recent collab with Punished Props has been really cool and quite inspiring. But when I do make my new mural, there are a few props I would like to sit in front of it, like giant like art supplies or something. So maybe that's something I could do with like foam and figure out a way to do that. But otherwise, it's not something that I can imagine being a core part of my channel, much like sculpture and 3D pen stuff. The sort of thing I like to do occasionally, maybe once every 10 or 20 videos, but really my channel's an art and creativity and drawing channel mainly. Anyways, that sort of wraps it up for today. There is one major regret I have for today. Not that I spent pretty much the entire video on the whole Market Monday thing. I guess that's been on my mind all weekend, so it's fun to get all that stuff out there. But really, it's with this. I missed a real opportunity here to, instead of Walmart, to write Walmart. See what I did? Because this is like walls. They're bricks in the walls. Anyways, what's done is done. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen, and I will see you tomorrow. I'm trying to raise MJ as a bit of a gamer. This is some of our shared time together.
And hello.
You want to say hello? Say hello.
Hello.
And we're playing this game, which is a car racing game, and it's quite interesting because he's learnt to accelerate. He doesn't know how to steer, but he knows how to reset the game when he's in a place where he's stuck. So we finally found a game that he can just play without needing help, because basically he just drives around. It's a cool game because it doesn't end, like that you can drive off of the track and just drive in the desert for ages. But if you get stuck in the water, what do you do if you get stuck?
Try again.
Try again. There you go. See, too easy. And go! Look at you go, you little pro. Whoa! You're a legend. Oh, you figured out the reverse camera. I don't think you meant to. I think you're pressing that button there. Let go. There you go. Oh, whatever you do, don't fall down. Oh no! Ah, splash! What do you do? Start again.